video, we'll take a look at the loft surface tool, which is located here. Now I've gone ahead and created curves in the curve tree here, and I'm going to work my way through them to demonstrate. So let's take this first example here, and I've simply created two curves, as we can see here, and they have two different shapes. So I'm going to select both of those curves and click on the loft surface. Now immediately you can see the preview, and we have our familiar tool options where we can change the parameters of the preview like so. And at any point during this loft process, we can use our point editing tool to change the shapes of either of these curves and have that preview update in real time. Once we're happy with those shapes, we can simply hit apply. And I'll just increase the opacity here and hide those curves, and this is the surface that we have generated. Now, one important thing that you have to remember, let's just clear this from here and bring back our curves, is here in your symmetry tab, if for example I have my symmetry enabled and I use this tool again, if I want to apply this mesh and I've accidentally left the symmetry on, I'm going to get a result like so, because it's going to try to create the surface for me and create a symmetrical copy depending on which axis you are working on. Always make sure that when you're doing a loft, then you disable the symmetry. In the next example, I've got two rectangular objects and an ellipse, and we can clearly see the ellipse here, and we have our two rectangles. Now the reason this looks more like a capsule shape, let's call it, is because I've rounded the corners out, as we've discussed in other videos where we're using this tool here to increase the amount of radii until I basically get this capsule shape. So here I have my three curved shapes, and again I'll go over to the loft surface and I will just select that, and it does its best with the geometry parameters that I have set here. Try to match that shape as best it can between the ellipse and our two other rectangular shapes. Clearly here I have to increase the number of spans on this to get a smoother transition, something more like what we expect from this sort of shape. Now at any point here we can come in and change the parameters of any of these shapes, and our live preview will adapt. Once we're happy, check in I've not got my symmetry enabled on there, hit apply mesh. Hide the curves, and we can see we've got that transition from our ellipse at the back here to our rounded rectangle to our capsule shape here. At any point of this, let's say for example now I want to go into more of a polygonal editing of this object, I'm going to hit the space bar on here, and then I'm going to choose shell. I have this small gizmo here, and I can move this in and out to create a shell on that object. Once I'm happy with that, I will just escape, Control D to drop the tool, and then I have my object with thickness. In this next example, I've created four curves, as we can see in the curve tree. If we look at the axis here, I've essentially arrayed those curves around the x-axis. So I've positioned them so that the x-axis runs down the center of these. Each of the curves has been just copied and rotated around in the various planes, and then each of those curves has been slightly modified. So now what I will do is I will select these curves, and again let's go back to my loft surface tool, and we can see that it's tried to almost revolve those around, but it's different than a revolve or lathe tool that you're probably familiar with, and that we are lofting between these curves, which gives us not a symmetrical shape like a vase, but an object which has different dimensions depending on which axis we are looking at. Now you'll notice as well that it failed to close this, and it's also got quite a few faceted edges on here. So I do need to change this around a little bit and get a more of a curvature in there. Obviously increasing that resolution gives me a much smoother shape, but we still have this gap here. And if we notice on our tool panel, on our tools option, we have this closed option here. So once I click on that, we can see that it closes the gap between those two curves. Again, now that I have that complete, I will just check which direction the normals are facing, which is fine, and then I will apply that mesh. Let's hide the curves, and we can see those transitions of the curves from that shape there. And if we look down, we have a more of a symmetrical shape looking down the y-axis, but we have different shapes on the top and on the bottom side here. So we're able to create more organic type shapes this way. And if this was, for example, a hull of a spaceship or something like that, we can see that we can get, with using our curves and our loft surface tool, we can get some quite dynamic shapes. So in this final example, I've imported an image here of this vehicle that I've created, and I want to use the curves to create a profile around this vehicle and use a series of curves to help define the shape. So with my viewport set to orthographic, I'm going to select this first curve here, which I've already created, and you can see where I've traced around the image of the car, and I've left this here just to show. We simply choose the point manipulation tool here and just guide that curve around the profile of the car. And what I've got here is another curve that I've created, basically duplicating that first curve and then changing its shape to form a different area of this car. Now it's worth pointing out that I'm not an automotive designer. I'm just really eyeballing this design from the single view and trying to match the contours of the shape as best I can using these curves. You can see that on this outside profile here, I've got this spoiler on the back, and then as I move around, I'm changing that shape to try to fit this surface as it bends inwards towards this wheel arch here. So I will move this roughly to where this line here moves across. You can see here on the front detail that I have my windscreen or windshield here, where this space between this front profile and this pillar on the canopy of this car here is roughly showing me where that windshield would be. If I turn this view around, you can see that I've also offset the profile curve and my second curve here, just so I can get depth to the car in the 3D space. And finally, I'll add this extra curve here where I'm simply following another contour across the car here just to show where the end of the car would be, i.e. the side of the car. And we can see if we turn that around, then we've got pretty much the width of our car, or half of it at least, already mapped out with these curves. There is no way that I'm going to be able to create all of this vehicle just using the loft surface tool with a bunch of curves. However, it will get me to a very good starting point to begin modeling this vehicle fully. So with these three initial curves selected here, I'm going to move over to the loft surface tool. So you can see immediately it's been able to generate a preview mesh only with those three curves. And the front of the car between this pink and blue curve is working quite well. The side profile here is where we transition from this blue curve to the red curve to form the side of our car. And this is where the loft tool starts to break down, because with the number of curves that I've got, I'm only able really to generate to this wheel arch. We're not going to be able to generate the whole of this car using these curves. We need different types of curves as well. So with this preview selected here, I'm going to say apply mesh, and I'll just hide the curves here. We can see we've got a very good starting point. Now one of the things that we're going to need are some extra helping guides here, and what I did is I created some extra curves here which I would be using as patch curves for the side of the vehicle. So let's just hide those and hide this initial one that we've done. And what I want to do now is just simply move over to a more polished version of this. So here you can see that with this vehicle, and I'll just hide just temporarily my reference. With this vehicle here, the polygons that we can see at the front were all generated with these three curves, and the side as well. And once I got that completed, I then went into a more traditional polygon editing mode to generate these extra pieces here. So you're not going to be able to use one single tool here to generate all of this topology with one click of a button. You're going to have to use multiple tools to create this type of complex geometry. What I've gone ahead and done here is taken this half of the vehicle that I've got and I've mirrored that vehicle over onto the other side. I'm just going to take off the orthographic view now. Now with this selected, I can do a few things. First of all, I could simply go down to the Catmull-Clark smoothing option here and begin to increase the resolution by just subdividing more and more geometry. One of the things that's really useful is to use the sharp edges to the vehicle. Here you can see that I've marked on the edges that I want 3DCoat to make sharp and give an extra dimension to the polygons. So here again, if I smooth using this Catmull-Clark smooth and I just deselect those edges, you can see that as I increase the resolution, these edges that I marked are now showing this form. However, this isn't the only way that I can do this. So I'll return to that lower subdivision, and with these still selected as sharp on here, I'm going to go to this option here, Mesh Live Smooth. Now this will temporarily convert this low polygon object into a sculpt object. So let's choose this option, and I'm going to use a high subdivision level of 3. Once I click on Live Smooth, you'll notice that the sculpt tree here has been populated with this layer here. We can't see anything that's happened so far, as we can only see our low polygon object at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll decrease the opacity of the low polygon colors, and now we can see we've only left with the wireframe cage. So the reason this is called Live Smooth is because it allows us to preview what a subdivided mesh will look like whilst we're able to still manipulate this low polygon cage. So if I choose Move, we'll be able to see this mesh update. So I'm going to choose this small vertice here, and if I move this vertice here, you'll notice that the sculpted mesh, the live sculpt mesh underneath, updates. And I can continue to model this with this live sculpted preview updating as I perform those edits. Another advantage to having this live smooth option here is it gives me access to the shaders. So here under paint, we can see we've got some car paint shaders which we can apply to check out the surface of our object. If we don't want to see the low poly cage, we can simply come over here and turn off the Retopo wireframe, and there we can see the surface of our vehicle a lot clearer. And we can cycle through the different shaders that we have available, and at any time I can re-choose my low poly cage and edit any of these vertices or faces. So at any time that I've finished with my live preview, I can simply go back to the mesh and uncheck Live Smooth. The sculpt tree here is now empty. And if I decrease the opacity, there is no underlying sculpt mesh under this low polygon cage. If I did want to keep that sculpt, then when I select Live Smooth, I can simply click on Unlink Sculpt Mesh, and that will keep a version of that sculpted high-res object inside my sculpt tree. In the next video, we'll combine these techniques to shape a complete creature from a reference image. See you next time.